The snow fell softly on Christmas Eve as Theodore Kane sat alone on a park bench, watching families hurry past with wrapped presents and cheerful faces. At 41, he had everything money could buy: a penthouse overlooking Central Park, a fleet of luxury cars, a business empire worth billions. Yet tonight, he had never felt more alone. His phone buzzed constantly with holiday greetings from business associates, but not a single message from anyone who truly knew him. His parents were gone. His marriage had ended years ago in a bitter divorce. He had no children, no siblings, no one waiting for him to come home. A tear slid down his cheek before he could stop it, freezing almost instantly in the winter air. "Mister, why are you crying?" Theodore looked up to find a small boy standing in front of him, no more than 5 years old, wearing a bright red coat and a knit hat with bear ears. He held a paper bag that smelled like fresh cookies. "I am not crying," Theodore said automatically, wiping his face. "Just cold." The boy tilted his head skeptically. "My mommy says it is okay to cry. She says tears help wash away the sad." Theodore managed a small smile. "Your mommy sounds wise. Where is she?" The boy pointed toward the lit Christmas tree in the center of the park. "Getting hot chocolate. She is coming back. You should not talk to strangers," Theodore said gently. "Even sad ones. But you look like you need a friend." The boy stepped closer. "Are you alone on Christmas? That is really sad. Nobody should be alone on Christmas." The simple observation hit Theodore harder than any business failure ever had. "Yes, I suppose I'm alone." The boy's face scrunched up in concentration, as if solving a difficult problem. Then his expression brightened. "Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom. She is really good at making people feel better, and she made extra cookies because she always makes too much." Theodore felt his throat tighten with unexpected emotion. "That is very kind, but I could not intrude on your Christmas." "You are not intruding if we invite you." The boy grabbed Theodore's hand with complete trust. "Come on, she will be happy. She always says Christmas is better when we share it." Before Theodore could protest further, a young woman appeared through the falling snow, carrying 2 cups of hot chocolate. She was perhaps in her early 30s, with warm eyes and a smile that faltered when she saw her son holding hands with a stranger. "Ethan, what did I tell you about wandering off?" she said, hurrying over. Then, more cautiously to Theodore, "I am so sorry if he bothered you." "He did not bother me," Theodore said, standing. "He was just being kind." "I apologize. I should not have let him approach. He was crying, Mommy," Ethan announced. "He is alone on Christmas. Can we borrow him, please?" The woman, whose name Theodore soon learned was Grace, looked at him with those perceptive eyes and saw what he had been trying to hide. Not a dangerous stranger, but a broken man who had forgotten what warmth felt like. "Are you really alone tonight?" she asked softly. Theodore nodded, not trusting his voice. Grace made a decision that would change 3 lives. "Then you should come with us. We are having dinner at my mother's house. Nothing fancy, just family. But there is always room for one more." "I could not possibly," Theodore protested. "Why not?" Grace asked. "Do you have somewhere better to be?" The honest answer was no. He had nowhere to be at all. "Please, mister," Ethan said, tugging his hand. "We have turkey and mashed potatoes, and Grandma makes the best pie in the whole world." Theodore looked at this little boy who had approached a stranger out of pure compassion, at his mother who was willing to open her home to someone she did not know, and felt something crack inside the walls he had built around his heart. "All right," he said quietly. "If you are certain." "I am certain," Grace said with a warm smile. "I am Grace, by the way, and you have already met my son Ethan." Theodore Kane, if Grace recognized the name of one of New York's wealthiest businessmen. She did not show it. She simply handed him one of the hot chocolates and began walking toward the park exit, even chattering happily between them about Christmas and Santa and his new favorite toy trucks. Grace's mother lived in a modest brownstone in Brooklyn, its windows glowing with warm light and Christmas decorations. The moment Theodore stepped inside, he was enveloped in warmth, noise, and the incredible aroma of home-cooked food. Grace's mother, Margaret, took one look at Theodore and immediately pulled him into a hug. "Any friend of Grace's is family here. You must be freezing. Come in, come in." Over dinner, surrounded by Grace's extended family, her mother, her brother and sister-in-law, 3 cousins, and more children than Theodore could count, he learned Grace's story. She was a widow, having lost her husband to an illness 2 years earlier. She worked as a teacher while raising Ethan alone, barely making ends meet, but somehow managing to maintain her optimism and generosity. "I could have been bitter," Grace told him later, as they cleared dishes while Ethan played with his cousins. "I could have closed myself off. But Ethan needed to see that even when life hurts us, we can still choose kindness. We can still choose joy. That takes remarkable strength," Theodore said. "Or maybe just stubbornness," Grace said with a slight laugh. "Some days I am not sure which." As the evening wore on, Theodore found himself laughing more than he had in years. He played board games with the children, listened to Margaret's stories about raising 3 kids in the city, and felt something he had forgotten existed: belonging. When it was time for Ethan's bedtime, the boy came and climbed into Theodore's lap as naturally as if they had known each other forever. "Did we make you less sad?" Ethan asked, yawning. Theodore felt tears prick his eyes again, but this time they were different. "Yes, buddy, you made me much less sad." "Good. Because Mommy says helping people feel better is the best present we can give." After Ethan was tucked into bed, Theodore found Grace on the front steps, looking at the snow-covered street. "Thank you," he said, sitting beside her, "for tonight, for including a stranger in your family's Christmas. You did not have to do that." "Ethan was right, though," Grace said. "Nobody should be alone on Christmas. And you looked like you needed exactly what we could offer: a reminder that money and success are not the same as happiness or connection." Theodore looked at her in surprise. "You knew who I was? I recognized your name when you introduced yourself. But it did not matter. You were not Theodore Kane, the billionaire, tonight. You were just Theodore, a lonely man who needed a family for Christmas." "I have spent years building an empire," Theodore said quietly. "I thought success would fill the emptiness. But sitting in your mother's living room tonight, playing games with children who do not care about my net worth, I realized I have been measuring the wrong things." Grace smiled. "So what are you going to do about it?" Over the following weeks, Theodore did something he had never done before. He slowed down. He visited Grace and Ethan regularly, taking Ethan to museums and parks, helping Grace when her car broke down, joining their family dinners. He also began redirecting his company's focus toward initiatives that actually helped people: education programs for underprivileged children, affordable housing projects, healthcare access for families like Grace's who were one crisis away from financial disaster. "You are different now," his business partner observed. "Happier." "I learned something important," Theodore said. "A 5-year-old boy taught me that the most valuable things in life cannot be bought or built. They can only be shared." 6 months later, on a warm summer evening, Theodore took Grace and Ethan back to that same park bench where they had first met. "This is where everything changed for me," he told Grace, while Ethan chased fireflies nearby. "This is where a little boy saw a stranger crying, and instead of walking past, he offered to share his mother. He knelt down on one knee, and Grace's hand flew to her mouth." Grace, You and Ethan showed me what I had been missing. You taught me that real wealth is measured in laughter around a dinner table, in the trust of a child who holds your hand, in the love of someone who sees past what you have built to who you actually are. He pulled out a small box. Will you marry me? Will you let me be part of your family? Not because I can provide things, but because I cannot imagine my life without you both in it. Through her tears, Grace nodded. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Ethan ran over, having noticed something important was happening. Does this mean Theodore gets to stay forever? Yes, buddy, Theodore said, scooping him up. If that is okay with you. It is very okay, Ethan said seriously. Because you were really sad when we found you, and now you smile all the time. That means we did a good job of fixing you. Theodore laughed, holding both of them close. You did an excellent job. They were married in Margaret's garden, surrounded by the family that had welcomed Theodore that snowy Christmas Eve. And when people asked Theodore about his greatest achievement, he no longer mentioned his company or his wealth. He simply said, I was lost on Christmas Eve. And the little boy reminded me that the cure for loneliness is not isolation, but connection. That the way forward is not to build higher walls, but to open wider doors. If this story reminded you that we all need connection more than achievement, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment about a time when a child's kindness taught you something profound. Your story might inspire someone today.